Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. I'm feeling a little bit better now, Villa fans, since that bombshell that we stumbled across this morning, which was just tough one to take, man. Tough one to take on the eve of a Premier League season starting. But I have calculated all of the information and evaluated where we are and what we are, and just come to the conclusion that Unai will not be using it as an excuse. He won't be resting on his laurels. The squad will be using Buendía's injury as motivation, and it will help with the togetherness of the team to fight and bond for Emmy and do things for Emmy. So a big reaction on Saturday, a big result, doing it for Emmy, I think will give us some added motivation. Like I said earlier, yes, it's a blow. It is a huge, huge blow because for me, I really rate him. I really do. I rate Buendía. I think he's got good attributes, good qualities. Yes, from time to time, it goes wanting. But I felt like this was going to be a very big season for him. But now, without him, we're going to have to adapt and we're going to have to go back in the market. Like, I didn't think we were done in this market anyway. So I think we will go in the market. We'll sign a replacement. We'll go strong. It couldn't have happened at a better time. Imagine this happened the day after the window shut. I mean, it would be terrible, terrible timing. So the fact that we can prepare, we can evaluate, we can look at Monchi's list of targets that potentially we would have had anyway, I think is, in that sense, it is a blessing and it's the right time it could have happened, basically. So we're going to go through what Unai Emery spoke about today in the press conference. But first of all, I want to touch on an interview that John McGinn has done. Very, very good. Spoke very, very well. Absolutely loved the stuff he spoke about going into the season. He said we're in a good place. Maybe this was slightly before the Buendía, but we still are. Preparation has been good. The tactics are looking like they're going in the right way. Villa are looking good. We're feeling good. 5 years of McGinn. He said he's mentioned pride and that it's been a big journey. The owners have transformed Aston Villa since he's been here. The signs are looking good. And that we are hungry for more, hungry to lift the trophy. And that Unai has been manifesting lifting a trophy with the squad all pre-season. So that goes back to what we were talking about in the match preview about us and manifesting and thinking that we're going to win a trophy, and the want and willingness for that to happen. You know, that those things normally can happen. McGinn spoke about his personal goals and that it's to score more goals. He spoke about going on cup runs, improving, that we're in a good place, and that we're going to Newcastle to try and win that game. So if you haven't already seen that interview, go ahead and have a little look at the McGinn interview. Very, very good. Speaks really well. I think he's formed into, you know, a really great leader at Aston Villa. He's a model professional. And I think this is important at clubs, that players that have been on that journey are still there, and McGinn has been that. I think you look back at Liverpool and you look at the leaders that have left Liverpool, players that have been on that journey with Klopp that have now departed, such as Milner's and Henderson's. I think it's so important that we've got McGinn, and I think McGinn is going to have the best season that we have ever seen from McGinn. We are going to see top McGinn. So if we go back and have a little look at what Unai has said then in his press conference, he has said Emery on Buendía yesterday with the last action in training. It's a 6 or 7, 8 month injury. It's a tough moment for him, but we want to play on Saturday thinking to win and be competitive for him. So that goes on with what I was saying earlier about the squad. Motivation is for Emmy this weekend and hopefully all season. But, you know, you think about tactically, but McGinn also spoke in that interview about the bond that they've created over pre-season and how important that is. So hopefully it can have although it's a negative, we can transpire it into a positive. And I don't think Emery will think of it as a negative. I don't think he works like that. I think he always looks for positive moments. He always looks for reactions. And whether it's when they're out, it is somebody else's gain. Maybe it's a Coutinho's gain or a Philogene gain or a player that comes in. Maybe it's their gain. So for me, done are the days of excuses. The excuse nature in and around this football club has disappeared, and I'm so grateful that it has, because so many times in the past it's been, oh, but this has happened, or this has happened, or we can't do this because of that. It's not in our nature anymore. It's not our DNA. It's not how we work. So we still have to have that tunnel vision of the aim of what we're prepared to do this season. So we have some other injury news, which is annoying. So as well as Buendia, Emery confirms that Dendoncker, who has been, I don't know where he's been all pre-season, Moreno out, Ramsey out, Traore out, Duran out, Tim Irabunan out. They are all unavailable. So yeah, I think we're probably gonna sell Dendoncker anyway. I'm hearing that Moreno and Ramsey aren't that far away anyway. So the positive news is that they're not too far away. I imagine Traore is going to go. Duran will need to get back fit, and Irabunan potentially will be sticking around. Monchi has done a fantastic interview in English on Sky as well. So that one's interesting if you've not checked that one out. But Emery on the transfer market, we are doing everything with deep analysis, speaking with Monchi, Nassef Swahiris and Wes Edens to try and improve always. So always part is very important there. And I've seen a lot of stuff on social media around, I think we're done in this window. I don't see anyone coming in this window. I cannot believe people think that we would be done in this window. I cannot believe that that is what someone possibly would even think, because we are not here to mess about. We are not here to mess about. This season is so important for Aston Villa to establish ourselves back as a European club and to strive for more. Okay, with this manager and this current regime is not good enough. So anyone thinking that our squad is ready and that is it on this season, no chance. Absolutely no chance. The way windows work as well is what you generally have is you may have targets. You may have first choice targets who we go out and that is who we are going to sign. So we went out and signed Tielemans. We wanted Tielemans from day dot. The minute his contract ran out, we went out and got him. Pau Torres was one that we were linked with from the very start. Felt like an Emery target. Emery's man went out and got him. We were linked with varying wingers such as Williams, but Diaby then felt like he was the next choice. So we went out and got him. But during this window, we have probably been talking to players, agents, talking to clubs, evaluating fees, dipping our feet in at certain areas. And we may have potentially gone, okay, that's fine, with a view to go back later on in that window, having already put our interest in there. So I think that type of situation happens all of the time. You know, it's tactical, it's strategic, it's how much you want for this player, 30 million. Okay, we don't value him at 30. Would you go any lower? No, we wouldn't. We will go back in later on in that window when that club gets desperate. Nobody else has came in for that player, and we'll potentially say 25 mil. Okay, we'll sign for 25. And then you're starting to see players like Zaniolo, who we were linked with at the start of the window. It goes quiet. Buendia's injured. Now we're back in linked with him. So we may potentially have gone in for him at the end of the window anyway, but this has speeded up our hand and we've gone in for him again. So that type of things happens, and we won't be done in this window until that window shuts. So even going into that last day, I imagine we may have targets that we will look to go for. If it doesn't work, then we will just turn our back and say, no, thank you, we're okay. But to say that we're done, absolute no chance. Emery on the possibility of increased additional time at the end of each half. We had 2 meetings. The Premier League told us the changes in the rules. For me, it is positive. So Emery is really liking the new rule change. If anybody wants to be a little bit more clued up on the rule change, then go back to, I think it's our, what episode is it? Match preview, where we're speaking about the additional time added on. So go back and check that one out. We talk about that in a little bit of more of an in-depth nature, so I don't really want to go over that. We spoke about the Premier League is the most important competition for us. It's the first objective to be in a better position than last year, and we have to be very demanding. It's going to be very difficult, but this is the challenge that I want to share with the players, the club, and the supporters, and that goes back to everything that I have said in my aspirations of this season. Premier League is the biggest objective for me. We have to qualify for Europe this season. We have to finish in 6th place. That has to be the aim, and we have to strive to be that club. Any other ambition for me is below qualifying for Europe in 6th place. So that's where I'm at. Happily, Emery sort of agrees with what I'm saying, that Emery's ambition is the Premier League, and I think he's spot on. I don't know whether he's watched our season predictions or season preview, but Emery, if you're watching, mate, cheers for that one. Emery on the UEFA Conference League playoffs. Of course, we are adding another competition. It was fully committed to qualify because I had to play in Europe for 16 years in a row. Absolutely loves it, doesn't he? And on the new campaign, the players responded with a very highest level, the message that I sent last year. So, he's saying that last year it was great to get there, etc. And Emery, before I arrived, we had a very difficult result at Newcastle and opposite at home. We played very good in the match. So that's his thoughts on Newcastle. There we go. That's all from Unai Emery. Some things that I do want to touch on before I finish off on are, some of you have asked my thoughts on Ramsey. I think the way I see it is he has no potential to play for Aston Villa this season. Is he better than Championship level? Yes. What deal can we do to improve his career and give us a solid answer on how good he really is to sell him to Burnley with a buyback clause. If he absolutely tears it up and smashes it, I would imagine he would want to come back to Aston Villa. So we get first refusal. So really, it's technically a glorified loan in the sense that we get a fee straight up, but we buy him back anyway. So it would literally be like a loan move. So I'm happy with it. Archer, I've changed my mind. On Archer. And I've got to be brutally honest. And I always am on this channel on how I feel. I have not seen enough to think that he could potentially lead the line for Aston Villa. I understand the goals, the chances that he takes. I've had in the back of my mind the semi-final for Middlesbrough where he wasn't in the game. And in pre-season, he's not really featured as much as you would expect a player who is potentially going to be our second striker. So with that in mind, I think I'm okay with us selling Cameron Archer. I know people are going to say we need a striker, which we do now. So the window's still open and I expect us to do business. But with Archer, I just don't see the overall game. I don't see the overall game with Cameron Archer. I see the finishing. I see it clearly, but the overall game, if you're asking me to compare Ollie Watkins to Cameron Archer, there is a big, big difference. And I know on this channel, some people give Watkins criticism. So there's a big gap between Watkins and Archer. And I think we'd be looking to sign another player, if I'm being honest. So Archer, I think I'm okay with him leaving. Zaniolo, we were linked with. Again, I think I like it. A lot of you will probably be saying about his injuries. He'd fit right in them, wouldn't he? ACL galore. I mean, we're kind of that club anyway. So he would probably fit right in with our injury ACL record. So I don't really see it being a problem. But in all seriousness, he has done his ACL twice early on. His injury record since is not too bad. So I think he would be a player that would probably do well under Unai Emery. And I think we're still in a very, very strong position. Look, our manager's aspirations this season are to qualify for Europe and to win a trophy. And what I would say is that in recent years, it's been about players. Our biggest attributes have been certain players. Our biggest attribute now is our manager. So our manager is our biggest attribute in the sense of, would I trust Philogene Bidace at St James's Park on Saturday night with our manager? 110%. So this manager, this setup, what we've got with Monchi is so important and so good. And I think when you are criticising a transfer window that hasn't shut, I think is the wrong message to be putting out there. So if anybody's questioning the window or whether we're going to do this or that, you can only question it when it ends. So at this moment in time, we have had a fantastic window, but it's not over. So it's only going to get better and there's only more players going to be coming in. So hopefully I've addressed a lot in this episode. The press conference was brilliant to hear Emery talking. I just think he's quality. He's a legend, and his expectation is very, very high. And so is mine. Up the Villa.